that I really like to hear.
Right, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Yeah, right now we jump straight to the papers, and I do not like this particular headline. It's a personal bias, because I thought that a few years back, when we were talking about the new constitution and of course the devolution that came with it, 10 years later we're still talking about stolen dream. That's the headline.
That is the headline. On the front page of the Daily Nation, we're looking at devolution at 10. That's across page 6, page 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the headline says, a stolen dream. The framers of the Constitution had a vision to decentralize services to the people, but it's been marred by instances of devolved graft. So instead of devolved services, it's devolved graft, with billions of shillings that were intended for development diverted to line the pockets of county officials and well-connected individuals.
I'm actually looking the Parity right now of the money that has been used to create or has been released to the counties, and the money that has been generated by the counties as their own source revenue, and I'm quite disappointed. If you do the math, between 2.98 trillion of the money released, counties have only been able to generate 306.6 billion of their own. I thought that if you're given 2.98 trillion, then our country would be dancing along the lines of maybe slightly above 4 point something.
Trillion from
that
the counties.
way would say that the counties are functioning. But 10 years later, we pretty much... Do you see anything to smile about is the question? Because one thing, we had the CDF fund, which was also used as the back pocket of these politicians.
Lots of members of parliament and officials. That spread is on page 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it talks about it takes a look at devolution and how this idea of devolution is a stolen dream. It talks about pending bills by the counties that are needed. It talks about cases of graft in the counties. It talks about mini presidents who are governors and the sacrifice at service at altar of opulence and power. It also talks about MCAs who are village tycoons who have changed the shape of society. And that spread does a nice in-depth dive. I think there's been a few wins when it comes to devolution, especially when it comes to the devolution of services. And the fact that opportunities are now county-wide. You don't have to be in Nairobi or Mombasa or Kisumu or, to get a decent job, a decent education. But the fact that corruption is still this rampant, and the fact that there's so much money that has still not been accounted for, bills unpaid, services and goods not delivered, is still quite worrying.
Yeah, I think the big wins are actually the county governments have seen people getting jobs, and we're concentrating more on our counties and development within the counties. That's a win. Some people don't have to travel far away from home to actually get jobs. And we've seen proper infrastructure. For example, I'm really impressed by Kakamega, especially the roads in Kakamega. But other than that, I've not seen sectors being improved or being revived. Like the big issue that we have along that side, like in Western and Chemelil, in Nyanza and stuff like that, we have not seen the governors actually taking a step forward and just talking about how the sugar belt regions have been destroyed. So if we had an opportunity to have that being looked at, then maybe we'd stand a chance of saying that devolution has a big win at 10. Sitting allowance nazo, sijui kama meziona hapo hivyo, you can actually read about them on page 3. Average sitting allowances per month paid to each MCA over various financial years, and you'd actually see it, is it going down or up? We get to find out with the finer details on our Nation Daily.
But a sitting allowance of around 100 from between, because I see it ranging from 80 to 100,000 shillings per month. That's a sitting allowance for is it MPs or MCAs actually? MCAs that receive a 100,000 on average, about 80 to 100,000 Kenya shilling sitting allowance. Insane numbers right there. Got some How We Roll, Chris Brown coming your way, and then Stormzy with Hide and Seek. Of course, we'll continue to look at the news making headlines in Kenya and around the world when we come back. Tweet us at NationFMKE, at Mariam Bishar,
at Brian_Aseli. Turn the volume up.
They play it first, banging out those new tracks louder than anyone